Hello, this video will instruct you how to make the 2022 Poinsettia Mini Flower. So you're going to set up the project in your machine's design space and cut everything with the sizes noted on the instruction document provided with your purchase of the template. We're going to start with an embossing stylus, and now this is available at Dollar Tree, or you can use some other, there's wooden ones available. Now I do provide 3 of these when you purchase my metal ball stylus kit, which is 4 of them with different size balls at either end. So I do include 3 different wood ones as well. So we're going to take our embossing stylus, and for each of the sepal and all 5 petals, we're going to emboss them with some veining of a leaf. So we're just going to draw a line down the center, and then you do lines down one side and come down towards the other side. So it creates a V shape in the middle of the petal. So if you flip it over, you can see it a little bit better. So it's embossing the veining on the leaf. So again, draw a line down the center, draw lines towards the center, and we're going to do this to all of the petals. So the Poinsettia Mini Flower 2022 version comes with a sepal, 2 centers, and 5 different petal designs. And 2 leaf designs. I'm sorry, 6 petal designs. Oh my goodness. We're using 5 in this one. Okay, so I flipped it over so my largest petals are on top now. And then part of my voice and the sniffling, I do have a cold. So just draw a line down the center of the petal and do lines towards the petal. Again, we're going to do this to all 5 petals. So no matter what size poinsettia you're making, I provide the sizes to make the 4-inch, which we're making now, a 7-inch, and a 2-inch. But making them is all the same, how you're actually like styling them by embossing the lines and every other step that we're going to do. So thank you for your purchase, or if you're interested, thank you for checking out the video. Again, I'm just drawing a line down the center, and then I'm going to create a V basically. So I'm coming down the one side, and then I come down the other side. So if you look on the back, you can see the veining. We're just going from largest to smallest. So right now I'm still using the larger end of the embossing stylus. Now this step, of course, would be optional if you choose not to emboss the petals. Now for the 2 smallest ones, I'm going to switch to the smaller end. And we're still going to do the exact same thing. Do a line down the center, and then the V towards the center. And then the last one, again, we're using the smaller end of the metal ball stylus. I'm sorry, of the embossing stylus. Okay, our next step is to, we're going to roll our flowers. So within your instruction document, it will tell you what size dowel rod to use. So I'm making the 4-inch. So if you're making the 7-inch, it's going to be a little bit different versus the 2-inch as well. So again, I'm going to flip it over. And for my sepal, if you're making the 4-inch one, we're using something skinnier than an 1/8 inch. So I have a little bit skinnier round. So anything that's round will do. And basically you can pinch, and then I just like to roll it a little bit from a different angle. So just place it down in the middle of that leaf. You can pinch around, but then I also like to curve one of the edges in. Come in at different angles. We're going to flip it over and set it to the side. So now our largest petal, petal number 5, we're going to roll up with the 1/4 inch dowel rod. So just place it down and you can just pinch around it. So I just twirl it. And I sometimes go at an angle just to give it a different shape. And then we set it there. Now we're going to take our next one and we're going to also use the 1/4 inch. So just place it down. Sometimes I go at a little bit of an angle, pinch it up with your right hand and roll it, or your dominant hand. Place it down in the petal, thumb on top, index finger underneath. It holds the dowel rod, and then just pinch around it. And we just keep them stacked, so we pull it off, and then we place it on our other stack. So now we're going petal number 3 at 3/16 of an inch. Again, we're just rolling them up, coming in at different angles and pinching around. So now we're going to use the 1/8 inch. So as our petals get skinnier, we need to change our diameter dowel rod. And we're just pinching around it, giving it a little bit of shape. And then for our last one, we're going to use whatever is skinnier than the 1/8 inch. So whatever you have, whether it's 18 gauge wire, anything round. Toothpick, whatever you have. Now we're going to use our Distress Oxide. So this is Red Recollections paper. So it can come in a 12 by 12, a pack on its own, or it's also offered in 8.5 by 11. So either or. So I'm using Festive Berries Distress Oxide. Looks really nice with this color. So again, I'm going to flip it over. And now, because I wanted to have it styled when I add in my color. So you can add a little bit in the bottom, around the edges, so it makes it a lot easier to style it. Or shade it, excuse me. They do come in a little bit at the bottom as well. So it's going to highlight your shape of the petal. Just give it a little bit of coloring. I like to flip it over and do the exact same thing. Because depending what you're using it for, you would see the back. Of course, optional shading. Gives it just enough highlight. We're going to do this for all of our red petals. And then again on the back. Again, we're going to go over each of the petals on the front, so it highlights the shape of them. I like to do it a little bit at the bottom. And flip it over, do the back. They are delicate, so just be careful. And then your last one. And definitely I find it easier to shade after we rolled them. Now, if you wanted to, you could shade your sepal. So I used forest moss. Now, with my color green that I use, this is Recollections. This is textured paper, and it was in a 12 by 12 that I bought individual sheets of. I like a more olivey green color personally, so that's why I'm using this one. But you can use any green paper. Totally optional to shade. Okay, so now we're going to assemble our flower. Take the largest and the second largest. We're going to roll our first layer, which we normally do not. And we're going to roll our second. Add a little bit of glue. Look at two petals, look at a petal, and place it in between. Okay. Take your next one, roll the center. We're just placing those petals in between the previous layer's petals. So if you wanted to stop at 3, you definitely could. We're going to use all 5 shapes of our petals. And what's good is if you wanted to, you could use the shape of just one of them for all layers. So lots of different possibilities. Okay. Beautiful. Now I take my steeple again. We have it rolled under now, so we flipped it over. Roll that center. Now I'm not stemming mine. If you were, I would definitely use 2 sepals just because it's a delicate center. Not a center, a sepal. Now for the centers, it's 2 different centers, and I'm using Gold Shimmer by Recollections. And what we're going to do, I'm going to zoom in now. Is I'm going to take the embossing stylus and I'm going to shape each of the petals. So you're just doing a circular motion on each of the round parts. Now you can use any color, depending if you like you were making a white poinsettia or cranberry. You can use a different color if you wanted to for the center, or I would still use gold. Now go to your second one, and again, just stir each circle. Now these are smaller, so it is a little bit more difficult. Okay, now we're going to take our precision scissors. And you can see it's a group of 3. So in between each, I'm going to do a very, very tiny little sliver. But because our center is so small, we need to make sure we can fit our center. Now you can use beads if you wanted to, whatever you would want for your center. And you're going to do the exact same thing with the smaller one. So again, there you can see the larger gap between the groups of 3. A very, very tiny little sliver because you don't want to cut off your petals. Okay, so now we're going to roll the center. Use your embossing stylus. So I'm just going to fold it up and around, and I'm going to press down. Then I squeeze the bottom. Sorry, I have ink all over my fingernails. Add a touch of hot glue in the center here. We're going to glue it into the other center, the larger one. So we're working from the center out. Fold it up and around. Press down from the top to shape it. Add your glue to the back, or the bottom, sorry. Glue it right into your center. And there you have a 4-inch poinsettia. Now again, if you didn't want to use all 5 layers, you could use 3. You can choose any 3 of the petals or use 3 of all the same pattern. But I like having the different shape of each of the petals in my poinsettia. That's the 4-inch. I'm going to zoom out. There's a 7-inch. And then the 2-inch, we only use 3 different layers. So it's totally up to you which ones you use. So thank you for watching.